VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio. VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Our Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, Father and lover of our soul, you sit on your throne of mercy and rule with your love and faithfulness. You are full of grace. We acknowledge your presence in our lives. Nothing is hidden in your eyes, even our challenges and struggles in life. We come to you with faith. We ask not only for our daily spiritual bread, but to seek your forgiveness and undeserving favor to heal our land, our family members, our friends and neighbors, even our enemies with COVID-19 and other diseases. Holy Spirit, help us to deepen our faith and see the opportunity to believe, obey, and worship. As we face this pandemic, you are Lord and God. Encourage us and change our hearts, not to fear, but to be full of hope and find ourselves praying and meditating your word. We believe no works of the enemy prosper to your children. Abba, Father, we believe that your Son Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. He is the truth and our salvation. Hear our prayers, O Lord, and most of all, not our will, but thy will be done. We pray this in Jesus' name, the name above all names, who was and is to come. Amen.
Naghahatid saya sa mga Pinoy, mga kanta at programang Tatak Pinoy. Napapanood at napapakinggan kahit saan ka man. Streaming worldwide. In South Manila, this is V81 Radio.
Malayo ka man sa iyong pamilya, dito ay hindi ka nag-iisa. Tiyak ito'y iyong hahanap-hanapin, dahil ito ang nagpapasaya sa atin.
VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko.
VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Dahil mahal namin kayo.
VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio. Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan.
VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko.
VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Dahil mahal mahal namin kayo.
VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio.
VA1 Radio.
Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko.
VA1 Radio.
Dahil mahal namin kayo.
VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio.
Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio.
The views and opinions expressed by the host do not necessarily state or reflect those of the company and its management. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests do not reflect those of the host, the show, this station, the management, and the network. Buckle up and get ready, set, and go! Join Sports Girl anchor Nicole Ganglani as she dives deep into the lives of athletes, fitness personalities, and enthusiasts from the sports industry. This is Sportswatch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Hello mga ka-sports tropa, this is your sports girl anchor Nicole Ganglani, welcoming you to our show today where we talk all things sports and fitness. Buckle up, get ready, set, and go. We're here to put the spotlight on different athletes from different sports to hopefully inspire you. So for today's episode, I'm really excited because I've invited professional wrestler Jake De Leon, famously referred to as Señorito to many wrestling fans around the world or in Asia. He's a 6-year professional wrestler, a 2-time winner of the PWR champion, 1-time PHX champion, and has represented the country in wrestling events in Singapore, Thailand, and Hong Kong, amongst others. So we're going to talk to him today more about the sport of wrestling, the entertainment side of it, and basically his professional career. Let's bring out Jake.
Hi, hello
Hi,
everyone.
Jake. Thank you for stopping by on this Saturday. I know it's
Thanks
pretty
for having me.
Yeah. So we've been wanting to talk about wrestling for a while, and we're glad we get to tap you to talk about your professional career because if you heard me talk about your achievements, those are pretty remarkable. So I'm excited to get to that. So again, thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you to everyone who is watching right now, and good morning.
Yeah. So Jake, before we get to your story or wrestling as a whole, can you just give us a brief about yourself, like some sort of background? I know I've mentioned your achievements, but more of
Yeah.
just like who you are and how you wrestling as a whole, ganon.
Okay, well, hi there. My name is Jake De Leon. That is my wrestler name, but that's not actually my real name. Maybe if someone asks in the comments what's my real name, maybe
Yeah.
I'll answer, maybe I won't. But yeah, I've been a wrestler for around 6 years now. I think it should actually be 7, but I'm not counting
Seven.
the pandemic year because we haven't had any wrestling events. So I've been wrestling since 2014, mostly in the Philippines. I've been lucky enough to be able to wrestle overseas also in places like Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, China, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I've had some championships. I've been through the gamut of the past how many years of
Yeah.
professional wrestling here in the Philippines. If there's one person that you're going to talk to when it comes to the history or the culture of Philippine wrestling, I'm probably one of the better guys to come on
That's
here.
why
Yeah.
I'm happy we tapped you. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically me. I just have a little thing about like when you guys posted about homegrown Filipino wrestlers, and then you mentioned that I'm from Manila. I'm actually not. I'm actually from
Okay,
Bacolod
okay.
in
We're from
in
Bacolod.
in Visayas. So that's something that it's fine. Like, but I've been living here in Manila for the past decade, I believe. So it's been a while. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for correcting that. So you're from Bacolod and you grew up in Bacolod, right?
Yeah, I grew up. I stayed there until high school, and then when came to college, of course, I moved to the city so I can get better
Where'd you go to
education.
college?
I went to. People are gonna kill me for this. I'm gonna say the Ateneo.
Why are people gonna kill you? That's so mean. But then
I,
yeah, I'm
I
from
like
South, so I understand.
I like kind of pissing people a little bit by saying the because they don't
The
really.
yeah,
But yeah, I went to school in Ateneo and then I've been there
yeah,
for 4 years and
yeah.
yeah, the Ateneo.
What did you take up? What course?
I took up communications technology management, so it's basically a mix of like management and other
And
like
the technology.
relative courses. Yeah, so
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I took that for 4 years and it led me to wrestling for some
I
weird reason.
know, that's I am very curious to ask. But don't worry because I took up human resource and look where I am now in media,
Yeah.
so very far. So you're not alone in that. But I want to ask, how did you get into wrestling? I mean, obviously you had mentioned that you grew up in Bacolod and
Mhm.
you went to college here. So was that something you've been wanting to do? I'm very curious about this actually. Was that something you wanted to do growing up? Like, did you have your eyes set on becoming a wrestler?
Well, when I was younger, when I was growing up in Bacolod, like around 4 years old, I saw wrestling for the first time.
WWE.
I saw
Ah,
the
okay.
WWF at the time, so it was like I'm that old. So that was like I really have this vivid memory of like sneaking out of my room and then turning on the TV, and then I see these two huge guys beating up each other. One of the guys was
Yeah.
bloodied in the face, and I was hooked from then on. I tried to watch it as much as I can, but
Did
obviously
you know
growing
it
up
was
with
fake?
back then, no, I didn't know it was fake. I was
On the
4 years old, so
TV.
I didn't know. So
Yeah.
people like when I was watching it, my mom tried to stop me from watching it, so I as much as I could I tried to sneak out and watch it as much as I could. I know people know it's fake or like it's scripted or like people don't really like saying the F word, like wrestling fans don't like saying the F word, which is fake about wrestling.
Okay.
But we kind of accept that fact now. And back then, as a younger kid, obviously I didn't know. Obviously,
Yeah.
all I could see was like, oh, blood, muscles, and
Yeah.
giant human beings, larger than life personalities. And that's what drew me to that. And, growing up, I didn't really think I would become a wrestler. I enjoyed watching it. If I could become a wrestler, that would be great. But I never really like pursued it. Also, for the fact that there's no pro wrestling schools here in the Philippines. I tried looking it up during college and I
Yeah.
could not find anything. So yeah, it was just like like it was fate when I landed
Yeah.
with PWR for a time and then was with
I
them for
love
6 years. Yeah.
Nice. Sorry, you had mentioned kanina, just to ask, that wrestling fans don't like the F word, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the alternative word to describe it, if ever?
We like to call it scripted. Scripted is like
Scripted.
a
Okay, that's right.
more politically correct
Podcast.
term, but
Yeah,
also at the same time, it's basically like any other TV show out there.
yeah.
It's a scripted show.
Scripted
It's the
show.
same
Yeah,
as it's the same as Game of Thrones. It's the same
yeah,
as Brooklyn Nine Nine.
yeah.
So
I
that's it.
can tell what your favorite shows are now.
Game of Thrones is not my favorite, so please don't quote me on that.
Jake, did you know that when did you find out that wrestling was scripted? And that's not, I'd like to make it clear, that's not a knock on wrestling.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
of
Obviously.
course, the athleisure side is there, the
Mm.
grind, just, being out there and with the blood and stuff you had mentioned, right? And being
Mm.
gigantic and moving around and all that. That in itself makes it a sport, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'd like to ask, when did you realize the scripted side of it? And when you realized that, did that ever alter your decision to want to be a wrestler, or did it make you want to achieve it even more?
I think I first actually found out it was scripted when I was in like the sixth grade because I would like talk about wrestling with my friends, right? And actually, my friend group at the time, we would have this like club in recess. Like we were just like, I know people say don't try this at home, don't try this at schools, but who was gonna stop us? So we had that group where we played wrestling during recess, and then we got to discussing, and then oh. so like one of the other kids told me, "Oh, wrestling is fake," and like, what? Wrestling is fake? Why do they look like they get hurt? Why do they get injured and
Yeah.
stuff? So that was the first time I ever like learned about it. I think I tried to push it down a little bit, kind of like believing in Santa Claus. I kind of wanted to still believe in it, even though it's kind of weird. But it kind of like hit home when I was in high school, when I was reading like, because people would review the stories online, and I would like chance upon those reviews. So that's when I realized, oh yeah, it's actually fake. But it didn't really affect my love for it, because at the same time, I think I realized it early, like, if it's fake or if it's scripted, what's the point? What's the big deal? Like, a lot of TV shows I watch are fake and scripted.
Yeah.
A lot of the anime, a lot of the cartoons I watched growing up were technically fake.
Yeah.
That's not real. So there's nothing different with wrestling.
For
And
sure. I mean, yeah, go
Yeah.
on, sorry.
it just added to the fact that I kind of wanted to become a wrestler also, because they're doing this to entertain people, like, so
One of
that's
a
a
kind,
fun thing.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of a kind. And I think, like what I mentioned a while ago, it being scripted doesn't necessarily put a knock on it. In fact, it
No.
just makes it so much more unique, because is there a sport like this? Like, I don't think so, diba? So unique talaga siya, diba? In
I
that
think
sense.
I think the UFC and boxing is trying to get there, but you didn't hear that from me. But yeah, no, I'm joking. No,
You have a
UFC
guess
fans
from
and boxing
US.
fans don't come
You
for
have a
me.
guess from martial arts na couple of weeks, so I won't touch on that. But yeah, I'd like to ask, like you mentioned kanina na you used to wrestle with a couple of your classmates or friends back in grade school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Who was your favorite wrestler then?
Oh, back then it was John Cena,
Oh,
hands
yeah,
down.
for
John
sure.
Cena. We would all get the crew cut. Like, everyone was like, because like for boys specifically, like, we had numbers when it comes to like how thin our
Yeah.
haircuts would be. So like, we saw that John Cena had a crew cut, and like, we couldn't wait enough to like, okay, let's get John Cena's haircut and stuff. And of
I
course,
remember having a crush on him. Yeah, I used to have a big poster of him in my room. He was a trendsetter.
definitely. It's because, I don't know, maybe it's him. It's because he was a white boy trying to become a rapper, something like that. Like, kind of resonated with us. We all wanted to be rappers. Maybe he was the wrestling Eminem. I don't know, but for some reason John Cena worked,
Yeah,
and we
or I
just ate
think
it
it
up.
was his personality. No, it was just so charming that
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm speaking like as a fan back then. Actually, I like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He was my favorite. The Rock
yeah.
was my favorite, and then I liked John Cena eventually when like The Rock left. But then speaking of John Cena, like what you said, yeah, parang feeling ko it's his personality. No?
Yeah,
So
he's very infectious. Like, he actually did those battle raps. He actually like did them on the spot. I'm not sure if on the spot, but like, he came up with those rhymes. So you have to respect that level of showmanship, that level of like charisma that he had, which is why a lot of people like him, even up
yeah.
to now.
So do your friend? I'm pretty sure you're still in contact with the friends who used to wrestle with, right? Back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Are they shocked that you eventually pursued this and became like a professional wrestler yourself?
Well, it wasn't just my friends who were shocked. There was a lot of people that were shocked. My friends, parents included. So yeah, I think they were shocked to actually find out that, there's wrestling here in the Philippines, and I was able to kind of land myself in it. And then I think they were shocked, and at the same time they were kind of like, they weren't they kind of understood now. Oh, if there's anyone from our friend group that would be a wrestler,
You.
it would be me. Yeah.
So, Jake, how did you find like I wouldn't say community, but like an outlet to gradually develop your talents? Like you had mentioned you came here for college. When you
Yeah.
came here for college, were you involved in communities now where you were able to like, practice your talent for wrestling or just be in the hindi siya korte, be in the sorry, what do you call that again?
Like
Stage?
the ring, yeah.
The ring,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm gonna miss that. Be in the ring in general.
No, actually, in college I was still a fan, obviously, but I wasn't part of a community. It wasn't until I graduated from college and had my first job, where I actually found this community where they were trying to gather people to make the a new Philippine wrestling promotion, because there was an old one back then in the 80s by RJTV that that a lot of people still like reference to this day. So, but after I graduated college, I was looking for wrestling forums or wrestling groups on Facebook where I can join discussions, maybe get some news about wrestling. And then I found this group, which was PWR, and then they were trying to make their own promotion. So I decided to join, not really knowing I was going to become a wrestler. I told them I wanted to be a wrestler, but then also I realized if I can't make it as a wrestler, maybe I can do your marketing, because that's what my course was. And 6 years later, this is what happened. I'm a wrestler now.
Oh, I love your story already. So, how did you jump from? Did you eventually pursue the marketing job?
Oh no, I've always had a job while I was a wrestler.
Okay,
Wrestling
okay.
is not my full-time gig. At
Oh,
best, it's a
okay.
hobby so
But
far.
you're still considered a professional now, even if it's not your full time thing.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you get paid for your work, you're a professional.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I'm gonna say.
yeah. I mean, it's true. It can be considered for sure, and it's. Is it a gruesome job?
Well, gruesome. It's I guess you could call it gruesome, but I think it's more, if I can put it into like more flowery dialect or words. It's a it's a job that you know is hard, but like you do it anyway because you love it. A lot
Yeah,
of our group is very passionate about wrestling. A lot of the groups are passionate about wrestling, and then we know we're gonna take these, like we're gonna fall in the ring, we're gonna hurt our backs, our heads,
yeah.
or everything. But then we keep coming back for more. It's because we're passionate about it. We want to keep doing it, and we want to keep getting better. So if I guess if you look at it from an outsider's perspective, it's a gruesome job because you get hurt. But for us specifically who are in the industry, we love it so much, and it
Yeah.
doesn't really
You
matter.
get hurt? Do you like after every? Because we're gonna watch a couple of videos of yours
Yeah.
in a few minutes. Yeah, and I can't wait for our audience to see that. But I gotta ask, does it like? Do you walk away from a match like injured or not being able to move the next day?
Definitely the next day it's hard to move. Like we will feel it all over our body, no matter how long you stretch, no matter how hard you stretch. There are also a few instances that people do get injured during matches, and we always have the safety precautions around. But generally after the match you walk away fine because you're so hopped up on adrenaline that your body doesn't feel a thing. But the next day, that's when everything hits, and then you just want to lie in bed all day.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That's very candid of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you had mentioned kanina na you were just looking for communities back then. If I heard that right, Facebook groups, right?
Yeah, Facebook groups.
So, what was the first? When was the first time that you eventually set your foot on the ring? Did you have to audition for that, or how did that happen?
There was no audition, but there was a call for training. So one of the guys posted in the group that, hey, we're gonna try to train in a ring somewhere. So like me in my young 21, 22-year-old brain, like, oh, this doesn't look sketchy at all. So I decided to join
I
that
mean,
training group.
I don't think so because it led you to becoming a 6 year or seven, if you consider this year a
Yeah.
7 year professional. So
But
anyway,
yeah,
go.
essentially the first meeting, it was an eyeball talaga siya. Because like we didn't know each other. We only knew each other from that Facebook group. But then, the first time we met each other, it was like we were friends for like how many years now, because we all shared that love of wrestling. We all like followed the product of wrestling. And then yeah, that day, that was our first training. Worst day ever for my bumps, for my back. I mean, because like I still remember that day because the next day I couldn't move my neck because of how bad it
Yeah.
was.
Were you old enough not to care now about what your parents thought, or you still had to like um ask them? And I don't mean to stereotype, but typical
Yeah.
Filipino, even Indian actually, typical Filipino slash Indian concept where you have to get your parents' approval. Did you have to do that?
I didn't. I just
Didn't.
went. Yeah, I didn't. So like it was it wasn't until I would tell them that I was going to these trainings, like, because like I kind of treated it like, oh, it's like weekend basketball with friends, but it
Yeah.
was actually weekend wrestling with friends. So they were like, oh, hey, as long as you're safe, as long as you don't get hurt. And then it wasn't until where we actually were having shows already that they were looking at some of the highlights of the videos, like, are like they would message me, are you okay, are you sure you want to keep doing this, what if you get hurt, what about work and stuff, does this pay well, like so many questions like that, so many typical Filipino parent questions, but I understand them and I still love them, but they were just looking out for me.
Nice. But I admire how you still did it, and it just goes to show your passion for it, no? And
Yeah.
how big of an impact wrestling can be to anyone, especially like
Mm.
you, diba? So
Yeah.
thanks for that. Before we talk about how it's like working as a wrestler, at least part time in your
Mm.
case, or just the scene at all, can you just show Jake's video and photos, please?
Yeah.
We'll roll,
Videos and photos.
yeah, we'll roll it. There we go. So, okay, this is the video. I
Mhm.
purposely did not watch it because I want the raw initial reaction right after. Okay, so this is you, Mr.
Yep.
Philippine Wrestling.
This is my entrance video actually. So when I make my entrance out to the ring, this is what people will see.
Did you have to train to do all these things? I mean, you look
Yeah.
very pro. I mean, you are a pro, but like, wow.
We had to train to make sure that we would execute all these moves safely. So it this was like, oh, well, these videos, they're the product of already like around 4 to 5 years of training. When I started, it wasn't this good, but right, but thankfully over the years I was able to become a better wrestler. Yeah, I think this loops on already, so I'm not sure if you want to keep watching the whole thing. But yeah, this is my entrance theme,
Okay.
and
Okay, this was the
yeah,
yes. Can we show the next video, please? Next video. Okay, I guess.
do you know there's another video?
The next video. There we go.
Yeah, so these are photos.
We'll go for the photos. So again, before we show the photos, we'd like to give credit and thanks to Pacheco. Hub Pacheco. Nanjuan.
Najuan Noor.
Sorry if I got your names wrong. And WWE. So thank you again. Okay, go on. So this photo is you, obviously.
Yeah, in the ring.
Do you
Yeah.
remember when this was?
This was back in 2019. I was wrestling in Singapore for this promotion called Singapore Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
So this was me smiling in the ring because something funny happened during the match. So when the match, I had a match against my opponents, Trexus and Andrew Tang. That was their names. There were two Singaporeans, like two big Singaporean wrestlers over there in their country. Like what happened in the match is that they pinned me at the exact same time. So technically, no one knew who won because they pinned me at the exact same time. So what the general manager?
Sorry,
Yeah. So yeah, they pinned me. So both of them pinned me at the same time.
pinned as in like.
You know how they cover for the pin and then the 1, 2, 3. That's how you win in wrestling.
Okay. Sorry, I had to
Yeah.
clarify. Go on. Sorry.
So they pinned me at the exact same time, and then the general manager came on the mic and said, "Oh, since you both pinned him at the same time, we're gonna have him back for the next show because there was no clear winner." And I was like, that is my that is my really really wide grin because yay, I'm coming back. Yay, I didn't lose. I technically didn't lose. That was me being like a little. I'm trying to hold back my bad words because I know we're on live and like I have to watch my language. But yeah,
It's
that was
okay.
basically
Go for
me
it.
being a little gremlin, being a little imp.
Right. So, this was what year were you here now?
That was 2019, so 2 years ago. So it wasn't that long.
I don't consider 2020. So
2020 doesn't exist.
yeah. So this, if you think about it, recent lang to ha. So this was in Singapore. Were you competing for anything like perhaps a belt or?
Yes, I was competing for SPW's Southeast Asian Championship belt, and I was the lone Filipino representing at the time. It was like Oh, I'm just here. I'm lucky.
How's it like representing? I mean, obviously, it's far from like like sea games or where you
Hmm.
have to achieve a medal and competition stuff. Wrestling's a different side,
Yeah.
diba? But how's it like representing the Philippines in countries like Singapore? Kasi syempre, like when you compete or step into the Singapore, in this case in Singapore, you're bringing along the Philippines
Yeah.
wrestling side with you, right?
Yeah.
That's who you're representing at least. So, how's that?
It's an interesting feeling because yeah, as you mentioned, you're not going there to win a medal. You're not there to compete. You're
Yeah,
there to entertain. So my first thought when I always am in a new country is like, how do I get the audience to either like me or hate me as a wrestler? Because sometimes you have to play the bad guy, sometimes you have to play the good guy. So at this time, I played the bad guy. So my thought process was, oh, I could make fun of the Singaporean dialect and how they speak and they say la after every sentence.
yeah,
And
yeah. They
then
do. They
I
do.
I would claim supremacy that Jollibee is the best fast food chain ever because they had Jollibee in Singapore. So yeah, they have Jollibee in Singapore. Like the
No,
weird
I'm
thing
not
is like,
same
oh sorry.
quality.
It was like I tried it. It was pretty much the same quality and I was very surprised by it. And yeah, so the my it's interesting to me to be representing the Philippines, but more than representing the Philippines and like trying to open up doors for other wrestlers, my main thought process is okay, I want to entertain these people so that they will want me back and hopefully they will want more Philippine wrestlers to come here in the future because this is what like I would be a representative like this is what all Philippine wrestling is doing right now. This is me making you laugh, this is me entertaining you. So hopefully you like me and then hopefully you get more of my friends to come over. That is my
That's
main
awesome.
thought process.
They go on for the team. Did it eventually succeed? Like,
I think it eventually succeeded a bit because I it opened up a few more doors for me. It also opened up a few more doors for my friends
that's
in
yeah.
wrestling. So yeah, hopefully we keep once everything opens up, we're gonna be able to do that again.
So you had mentioned you went to Singapore for this, right?
Yeah,
Did it take time? Because obviously, syempre, a wrestling match is in a specific day, and I'm
yeah.
assuming you get there days ahead or even weeks just to like practice it and all, or is it like a spontaneous kind of thing?
For this one, it was just the weekend. So I had work during the week, and then I told the promoter of the I told the boss of the promotion, oh, I can only fly during the weekend, and their show is on Sunday. Their show
Oh,
is on no, their show was on Saturday night. So I
yeah.
flew in Friday night, and then I basically the whole Saturday is just like talking to who I'm gonna be having a match with, and then yeah, that's it. And then Sunday afternoon, I fly back home to the Philippines. That's one weekend of wrestling basically.
Damn. Then you fly back pa. I'm assuming very like bodies beat up and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Like
That's
it,
in itself mind blowing.
the travel is not the most fun part.
Yeah. Anyway, Singapore to actually mahaba more than 3 hours, diba? But
Yeah.
then anyway, like kanina you had mentioned na you had to talk to producers and all that. So how's that process like? So as you see the next photo, this is in
Yeah.
Singapore also.
No, this is in the Philippines. This was back in 28. The wait, I'm getting my dates mixed up. I think this was 2019. Actually, this is 2019. So
Mhm.
this is a wrestler from Japan. His name is Masataka Nashi. He has
This
me
was in
by the ear.
Japan.
No, the wrestler is Japanese. He came over to
Okay.
the Philippines to wrestle.
Okay.
So he we're very lucky that he was able to come here and like I was able to wrestle with him because Masa Takanashi has been a wrestler for more around possibly around 15 to 20 years already.
Oh wow,
So
veteran.
I learned a lot from him while in that ring and he was a great opponent to be up against. And back to your question about talking to producers and stuff.
Yeah.
So when it comes to wrestling, there are people who are called bookers. So they are the people who like book the matches, say who wins, say who loses, says what they want to happen in the match. So we talk to them, and then I have to talk to my opponent how we want the match to go. and then that's it. That's how we basically lay out
Okay.
everything.
So kayo
Uh,
yung nag-decide ganon.
the booker decides who wins, but the
Okay.
wrestlers decide who what happens during the match to get
Right.
to that decision.
Is it a long script? Sorry, I'm very curious. Like, how many minutes, or does it take hours? Sorry, I'm basing it on
Yeah,
WWE. Pardon me if my knowledge is
yeah,
like
no
way back.
worries.
But I'm basing it on WWE, WWF kasi. At least on what I used to watch. Eh, di ba the main events used to take mga easily 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah,
So,
around 30 to 1 hour. Yeah.
yeah. So, for you, how long does a match, what's the longest match you've been in na lang?
The longest match I've been in is probably 30 minutes long,
Okay, that's
but
doable naman.
uh, that's like with a lot of other people, so it wasn't a one-on-one match. I think
Okay,
my longest one-on-one match is around 20 minutes.
yeah. What's
So
the normal one?
normally matches last around 10 to 12 minutes. They're not really all that long.
Okay,
Because if you have a lot of matches that are long, the audience will get tired. So we
yeah.
try not
For
to like
sure. Yeah, and
oversaturate them with
everyone's
wrestling.
attention span's a little less these days, diba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna go back to your question about like the process of like how to make a match and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I was gonna ask actually. Go
So
on.
there different wrestlers have different ways of going about it. There are some very special and talented wrestlers that just go in the ring and then talk about it in there. So as you mentioned, like if you know, like if you see some wrestlers talking to each other, that's basically it. That's what we try to hide. But there are also a few wrestlers that want to write down what they want to happen in the match. So there's a group that wants to write. There's a group that wants to just, oh, let's just go in the ring and then figure out what happens. And like as in they're technically ad libbing in the ring.
Yeah.
And I've dabbled in that a little bit. I've also like wrote down some of my stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
so
Is
it
it a
depends.
complicated process?
It's not all that complicated if you're used to it already. Like we know what we want to happen in the match. We just talk, oh, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do here? And then yeah, it just happens. When you're starting out, probably that's when you like get really conscious about it and want to make sure that you write down every detail about what happens in the match. But as you get older,
Yeah, you alam mo na, parang pro
yeah,
ka na, like you,
yeah,
yeah, got
you
it.
kind of
Thank
like, oh, you just assume now, oh, at this point we know this is gonna happen, so like yeah, just go for it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Jake. So this is okay. This is the wrestling
Yeah,
ring, all right?
this
Yeah,
was in China. I had in 2019 again. A lot of things happened in 2019. Let me
yeah,
tell you, because I was setting up for a really bad 2020. Anyway, this was in China. This was a tryout for the WWE, which I was a part of. So it was basically WWE's audition process to see if they can get more wrestlers,
yeah.
and I was lucky enough to be invited.
How did that go for you?
It went. I think I would like to think it went well. They haven't contacted me yet. Hopefully they do. But this was the hardest week of my life. Like
Oh,
legitimately, they would try to break you. They tried to break you down with squats,
why?
push-ups, sit-ups.
Yeah, kasi
Uh,
WWE na to eh.
yeah, this is WWE. So like this is the big league. So we had to bring our A game every day. And for 4 days straight, we would be training in the morning, have a lunch break, and then train in the afternoon, and then go back to where we were staying, and then basically just lie down there with hurt bodies and then do it all over the next day.
How it is? I mean, I'm sorry, but it sounds so gruesome. Indeed.
Well,
How do you recover from that?
a lot of food and a lot of sleep. Yeah,
Okay,
so
a lot
basically
of.
try. Yeah,
This
so
is
again, yeah, this is another picture. The person that I'm actually like throwing here in the picture is my tag team partner right now. His name is Ken Warren. We are in a tag team called the hashtag PWOGs, as you can
okay.
see in my background here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were able to go to China and then try out, and then this is us basically doing a drill in front of a lot of
Why
the
are you
coaches.
wrestling each other if you're teammates?
Basically, it's well, this is a tryout. So in a tryout,
Okay.
what we're
Okay.
doing,
Got
yeah.
it.
So basically, everyone works with everyone. So
Siguro
it doesn't matter
yung
if you're
mga
teammates.
tryouts are also, if I may guess, are also a time where you get to meet other people and just
Yeah.
network.
Yeah, exactly. So we met a lot of people. The funny thing is, like, the people that we met there, we already knew, because even before the tryout, we all were already wrestling in Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia. So a lot of the people we met there, we already knew, and we met more people, like people from Hong Kong, people from China, and yeah. So, and actually some people in Japan also, some other wrestlers in Japan, we were able to meet. So it's also a
Interesting.
really big
A
networking.
good, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's nice to hear. So, kung nga rin dito sa sorry if we're talking about WWE, yeah, but like
No,
since
no worries.
it's really nice to touch on that. So here, for example, sa tryout mismo, um, do they give you a script or it's just okay, you guys go at it and that's how we'll evaluate you ganon?
No, they do not. They do not at all. Basically, so what happens is there's the physical conditioning, which are the basic, stuff you do outside, push-ups, sit-ups, stuff like that. And then we would go in the ring and do drills. So this is an example of the drill that we would do. This is also a drill that we do in practice here in the Philippines. So we were actually all kind of knowledgeable about it already. And this is us, like, you have to show the coaches that you have good basics, you have good foundation in your technique, that you are not going to quit, and of course that you're also coachable. So that's kind of what they look for, and I'm hoping that's what we were able to show during
Yeah.
those 4 days in China.
Yeah, I'm hoping too. I mean, if you get called up, I'll definitely. I haven't watched wrestling in years, but I'll definitely like tune in just to like check. But do you know when it's gonna come back? I mean, like I'm pretty sure the
uh
pandemic has altered
yeah,
it. Yeah,
a lot of things have been halted due to the pandemic, and also it's the WWE. We're not they're
yeah,
pretty much not going to tell us when they're going to contact us, but
for sure. Yeah,
what we do is we stay ready when they do make the
yeah,
call, and
got it. And at least
grab
you
that
got to
opportunity.
audition na, no, diba?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's something you can sure mention. So
Yeah.
this is where.
This is back in the Philippines also. This was
Okay.
in, I'd like to say 2019 also. Yeah, a lot of the photos I sent you guys were from
Yeah.
2019. This is going up against Shaukat. He is a pro wrestler in Malaysia. He's actually kind of like the godfather of wrestling in Malaysia, and
Oh,
he's
interesting.
he's responsible for bringing back wrestling in Malaysia, like I was a part of bringing back wrestling in the Philippines. So this was when we were in, like, also on top of like us flying out to different countries, we would also fly in like different wrestlers from other countries
Yeah.
to wrestle with us. So this was us having a match back in 2019.
Okay, where was this held?
It's we actually have our shows. We had our shows in Makati Cinema Square.
Ah,
In
talaga? Saan
Yeah,
yun?
Circuit Makati.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like, is it...
it's a it's a black box theater. So this is
Okay.
usually where theater shows are held, or musicals. So this is me saying again, like, wrestling is a sport, but it's also entertainment, because we are really close
Yeah.
to theater, if you think about it, because theater
Closer
also
to
has
theater or
action.
closer to a sport? What would you say? How would you
I
evaluate it?
I would evaluate it as they're equally distanced to
Equally.
each other,
Yeah.
because the sport aspect is a lot of wrestlers are also competitive with each other. We work on how athletic we are. We work on our body, our physical conditioning. But at the same time, what we showcase out to the fans is entertainment. It's theater.
Got it.
We are
Yeah.
larger than life personalities putting on a story for people through
Yeah.
combat and
So
action.
that's
So yeah.
that's actually the point I wanted to bring up with you or ask you, I guess. Like the athletic side of wrestling is not whether you win or like the script in itself. It's actually an indirect way in terms of like how you're built or how you perform. That's the
Yeah.
athletic side of it. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
got it. Got you. Okay, this one, Philippines then.
Yeah, Philippines. This was actually the biggest show in PWR's history. So I went up against this wrestler named TJ Perkins, who has wrestled in the WWE. And this was a time where he wasn't with the company, so we were able to book him. This was our biggest show to date. Again, also in 2019, we had around 1,000 people in the crowd watching. And yeah, we were able to main event that show. This was really like, this was a humbling experience for me, because I also got to learn a lot from him. and as well as, just like it's humbling because this was the fruits of our 5 years of labor, 5 to 6 years of labor at the time, and then
Yeah.
it turned into this.
Is this your biggest match yet?
This, I would have to say, this was my biggest match yet. Yeah.
So sorry, this was in the Philippines, yeah, 2019.
Yep. Yeah, this
Same
was in the
place na
Philippines.
at Cinema Square.
Yep.
How was this like? Sorry, can we just backward po sa photo? Yeah, sorry. How was this experience like for you? Like, did this experience make you realize, oh wow, I made it far? I mean, 2019. That's you're 5 years in, right?
Yeah,
5
5 years in.
If you count last year, let's still count it because that's
All right.
so.
Yeah, this
year's
experience for me, it was like beyond excitement, but also very nerve wracking because this was a guy who's been wrestling for 20 plus years
Yeah.
already, and me just
You
like,
can
oh,
see he's like, you can
I'm
see he's built, yeah.
yeah, I'm just a 5 year wrestler like that. So it was exciting for me because I would be able to get to learn a thing or two from him, but also exciting in the fact that I would be able to showcase what this what a homegrown Filipino wrestling talent could be. And I think we were able to do that in our match. That I was able to hang with him performance wise, and yeah, like there's not much to say about it anymore. Like I was just a nervous ball of wreck. I was a nervous wreck before
Yeah.
the match, and then once the match happens, there's just something that there's just something that happens, something that clicks. Is like, okay, it's performance time. Let's go.
Got it. Nice, nice. Okay, next photo, please. Okay, this is this your signature move? I actually want to ask you, but then a little later na lang about your
Yeah.
signature moves and stuff. Is this like
Yeah,
one? Yeah.
this was one of the events in the Philippines again, and yeah, this is one of my signature moves. It's called the Alipin drop. Like I'll get into that later if you want to ask that question.
Yeah.
But yes, this is against my opponent, Main Max. Main Max is again one of my, even though we're fighting each other here, he's one of my best friends also in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So Main Max, I'm trying not to like shame him, but like I think he weighs around, at this point he was weighing around 240 pounds. So I was able to lift him up on my shoulders and give be- yeah, so and be able to like drop him down for my signature
Yeah.
move. And
Got it.
yeah.
I know this. You had mentioned it's a leap in your signature move.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it relates to my character as the Señorito. When
Yeah.
I was creating this character in my
Yeah.
head, I wanted to be a bad guy. So
A bad
I wanted,
guy.
yeah, I wanted so much to be a bad guy. So obviously, if I was going to be a bad guy, I would have to insult my opponent. So that's why I named this signature move the Alipin drops, because I'm dropping my Alipins because
Yeah.
they're under me and everything. So the move is basically me putting the my opponent on my shoulders and then just like falling back and then putting all my weight against them as they fall to the mat.
Yeah. I'd like to ask, how was the process like of coming up with your own name and signature moves? So what I realized after you had mentioned that is that that's the athlete's job pala. Like, is it like that also in WWE, like sila John Cena or Undertaker? Like they're the ones that come out with their own character, or they're the ones that come out with their own moves, or is it recommended to them? At least in
Uh,
your case, what do you think?
in the WWE, it's not that simple, really. I think it's mainly like their head office or like whoever's writing for them.
Okay.
That's
But
those are
not
the
for
people who.
you.
But
Yeah.
for us here, yeah, we're basically the ones creating our own characters.
That's also like a hard. Would you say it's a hard job? Like just thinking
Uh,
about.
Not if you know who you want to be.
Ah,
So basically, the top thing that you want, like you'd want a character that you would enjoy portraying, but at the same time, you also want a character that's different. So the biggest like hurdle for a lot of people who are making their characters was like, oh, it sounded too similar to this other character, so
yeah.
probably don't go that way. So you'd have to like create a different character altogether. But there's more freedom outside of outside of the WWE or outside of companies, there's a lot more freedom with the character you want to portray or the moves that you want to do. So
Got
we're
it.
just lucky to do
The
that. Yeah.
interesting side. So this is the creative side of it.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep.
So why Senorito?
Ah, because I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted Senorito because I wanted it to connect to my Bacolod roots because people from Negros Occidental are like landowners and rich. So like I wanted to be a Senorito and like be a rich bad guy, but it just didn't end up that way. I became a good guy for some reason and people liked me. So we had to like just okay, well, Senorito pa rin, but I guess a
Innovative. Yeah.
benevolent landowner, something like that.
Got it. Landowner talaga.
Hmm.
Next photo, please. Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's you.
this is yeah,
Are
jumping
you
out of the
ever
ring.
scared when you're like inverted? Is that not that's on air, right?
Yeah, that's in air. That's me.
Are you being thrown out on the crowd?
No, that was me jumping out of the
Okay.
out into
Sorry.
the
Yeah.
onto my opponents who were there.
Okay.
So, um, yeah, it's wrestling as a performance. It also needs a lot of trust. So you also need to trust your opponents or like your partner in like making sure that whatever move you do, you're fine. So I'm thankful that me and Max and Sandata here were able to like make sure I didn't land on my head or make sure I didn't like break anything on the way down. So yeah.
Man, this is like the coolest thing. Like I'm learning so much, like especially the sports side of it, just how the process goes. It's
Mm.
a lot of risk, huh? Like a lot of risk, a lot of practice, a lot of like uh trusting yourself and just
Mm.
like the sport in itself. That's so cool. So this one you're being thrown in the ring, right?
Yep. Yep.
You were
No,
able to
outside of the ring. I was thrown outside.
outside of the ring, right? Yeah,
I
that's what I
jumped outside of the ring. Yeah.
okay, okay. So are you about to land on the floor or people were able to catch you here naman?
Yeah, I was going to land on people. So this is basically like an attack where I jumped out of the ring and then just put my body at risk and then hopefully it hurts my opponents on the way down. And yeah, this is a move that's called the tope con hilo, which is
That's
like
another signature move of yours. Yeah,
I would call it a signature move because I do it a lot in matches.
yeah. What are your signature moves? Since we're at
So
that.
yeah, so I have the leap and drop, which was shown earlier. This is the tope con hilo, which is me jumping out of the ring and attacking my opponents by flipping in the air. The other one is called the inasal lock because I love chicken
In the
inasal
me too.
because
Okay.
I'm
What's
from
the
Bacolod. I
difference?
have to represent.
Yeah,
So it's
I'm
basically
gonna ask you that later.
because I'm a chicken wing maneuver. It's a
Yeah.
chicken wing maneuver where I grab the opponent's arm from behind him and then lock it, and then put my other arm across his throat, and then basically like choke him out until he taps out or passes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is my other signature move.
Yeah, wow, you really have the creative side top notch, like you really did it take you time to like eventually build that the
It
creative side, like the your moves, your name, your like everything else in between. Did that take you time or was that something you just developed right away because of like how much you loved it and how much you were passionate about wrestling?
it helps that it helps being a wrestling fan for over
Decades, yeah.
20 years now. Like so the creative side, you can actually gain inspiration from a lot of other wrestling and then use it there. Or also a lot of the moves that I do, a lot of people already use them already as well. So there's a saying that goes in wrestling where nothing is new anymore, everything is borrowed or
Yeah,
stolen. So just make sure that the move that
you
you're
copy it.
using,
Yeah,
not a
you
lot of other
present it.
people are using it, so that
Got
you
it.
can stand out. Yeah.
Got it. Next, please. Is there a next photo? Or oh,
And I think that was it.
oh wow! So thank you for sharing those photos and the video. I learned a lot, and I hope our audience did too. Jake, before we go lang to break, I'd like to ask you, what advice would you give to someone who has the passion or just wants to pursue wrestling, just
Hmm.
like what you did? I mean, you had mentioned that you were in sixth grade when you didn't even know you could do it eventually and pursue it to become a professional that you are now, diba? So for wrestling fanatics or those that just wanna be a professional wrestler like you one day, what would you tell them right now?
Well, I would tell them to keep that passion, hold on to that passion because it will take you a lot of places. Because I attribute my whatever successes that I got right now is because I was passionate enough about wrestling, and then obviously along with that passion, make sure you have a lot of hard work in you, a lot of patience because it's not easy. This as you can see, it's not my main source of income. It's not my main job. I have to do this on top of like going to a 9 to 5 job every week. So you really have to be passionate about it. You have to be able to work hard, stay patient, stay humble, respect a lot of people. And I would suggest that you also get into shape. Like it's not going to be easy. Like I'm not saying like really nice body, six pack shape. I'm just saying good enough shape to do strenuous physical activities like you would with basketball, volleyball, or any other martial art because this will hurt and having a prepared body will help you too.
I love that. I love how you mentioned the importance of hard work, patience, humility, determination, and
Yeah.
the importance of passion, especially when pursuing a sport. Again, I don't want to say gruesome, especially when pursuing a unique and a different kind of sport, which is
Mm.
wrestling. No, so
Yeah.
we'll head to break first. We'll talk more about the wrestling culture slash scene here after the break, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll hear more from Jake in a few.
We'll be back shortly. This is Sportswatch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To hold my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock the points and come correct. All people on time and rhyme connect.
Isang masayang April na naman ang inyong aabangan sa Home Not Alone Season 3 kasama si Papa Gio, Karen Sita, Kelvin Miranda, and Mikey Quinto. Sam's David, P6, and Curate. Kaya mag-ready na sa all-out na kwentuhan, kulitan at kantahan this April sa Home Not Alone Season 3 kasama si Papa Gio. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. California time o Thursdays, 10 a.m. Philippine time. Dito lang yan syempre sa V81 Radio, Los Angeles. Let's dive deep into an all-boys conversation with Voice of the Boys, taking up full sessions about movies, anime, martial arts, and more. Voice of the Boys features pop culture, discussions on male topics, and issues with a hint of female perspective. Hosted by your resident voice artist, the Rick Matthews, and Voice the Slayer, Joshua Ravales. So grab a popcorn and enjoy the Voice of the Boys. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Now back to Sports Watch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Okay, we're back here at Sports Watch with our guest today, Jake De Leon.
Hi
Hi
again.
again, Jake. Before we get to talk about the wrestling culture or scene here in the Philippines and more about your career and the professional side of things, I'd like to give a shout out lang to the people tuned in today. Pardon me if I got your names wrong. Mr. Imboy Orellana says pa-shout out po. I'm not sure if you know him or her, Jake, but
Hmm.
yeah, pa-shout out. Oh, you know him or her? Or
Yeah, we used to work together in
okay,
wrestling.
there. He asks for a shout out.
Sup?
Miss Juela Agbayani says hello. Hi.
Hi.
So we say hello.
These are actually, well, a few of them I know. Like Jewel is actually my girlfriend. So hello,
Oh,
thank you for
sorry.
watching.
I got her name. pronounce her name
That's
wrong.
Jewel. Yeah.
Sorry, Jewel. Next is she again. She says Woot.
Woot.
Very supportive. Thank you for tuning in today. Next is Mr. Kenneth Joseph.
That's
He
actually
says,
my tag team partner,
"Oh
Kenor.
yeah, you only
Sorry to
mentioned."
out your actual name.
Next, nice. And lastly is Mr. Dunkang Donato. Ibalik ang Pinoy wrestling. Did it leave? That's actually
Pinoy
a good
wrestling was
transition.
around for 3 years in the 80s, and then it eventually left. So
Okay.
that was the old show on RJTV.
Yeah, that's actually a good transition to what we're about to talk about. So, yeah, I'd like to ask you, how would you describe the Philippine wrestling scene? Like, is it something that has grown throughout the years, something that's
Mm.
still, finding its way, or something that it's on its peak right now, or at least before the pandemic happened?
Uh, what I would say about the Philippine wrestling like industry right now, it definitely like grew a lot, but it still has a lot of growing up to do and finding its way because the main factor I think why it still needs a lot of growing is because when we came into this thing, we were all kids. We were all like fans. There was no like there wasn't a lot of protocols in place. There wasn't a lot of like culture that was set. It was just us being kids, enjoying like putting on wrestling and everything.
Yeah,
But over the years, it did grow a lot, like a lot. It grew enough to have the WWE notice that there's something that's happening in the Philippines, and of course invite us over to their tryout. Also, we were able to get some news over to our neighbors in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and then we were able to like trade talents from time to time. But yeah, like it grew a lot. I think the next step for Philippine wrestling would be to be able to create a culture that it's all about the wrestling and just keep on getting better and just to keep getting the name of Philippine wrestling out there.
nice. Yeah, so that's where we're at least at the moment, or before the pandemic happened.
Mhm.
That's great. Would you say we've made progress over the past couple of years, or we progress, given that Pinoy wrestling was actually apparently a thing back then?
Um, for the past couple of years, yes, we have definitely progressed because Pinoy wrestling, to my knowledge, and I'm trying not to like throw shade on anyone or like make fun of anyone. To my knowledge, when they created Pinoy wrestling back in the 80s, it was trying to copy WWE and like and they did it really great because they also had great characters. It was just the wrestling part of it that needed a lot of the work. And I don't know how their training was set up back then, but compared to us like in the past 5 6 years, we were definitely able to get to a place where we were able to create a training regimen, a training culture that was able to get us really up there in terms of talent, and like a lot of the best talent in Asia wrestling wise that you see are going to come from the Philippines, and that's thanks to a lot of the many other Filipino wrestlers who are living in other countries or like other
Or
wrestlers
paved
who
the
came
way, yeah.
by. Yeah, because they some of them like would come home and then they would give us like teach us a lot of wrestling tips and know-how and
Yeah.
also like train us. So I would like a special shout out to one of the people who did that. He's a Phil Canadian. His name is Billy Swade. He came over here back in 2017 and really like developed the game of Philippine wrestlers.
Got it. But may ano ba, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I am, but there are like actual Filipino wrestlers, or at least half Filipino wrestlers who have made it to the WWE, right?
There
Have,
are currently three people right now in the
right now?
WWE who are half
Who are they?
Filipino.
Sorry,
Her
I
what?
want to watch
No
wrestling.
worries.
Yeah.
One of them is Shotzi Blackheart, who is currently a WWE NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. There is Joaquin Phoenix, who is also half Filipino. He's also in NXT. And the other one is Caden Carter, who is also half Filipino. So they're
Okay.
all half Filipino, all representing the Philippines. And
Nice,
it's like
nice.
very heartwarming to see.
Nice. Yeah, I can imagine. How about over the years? Kahit yung retired na.
Over the years, obviously we have Batista. Batista is one
Yes,
guy
that's
that
the one on my mind.
Batista is one guy when you talk about Philippine wrestling, like Filipinos in wrestling, you can't
Yeah,
not talk about Batista.
he's the one with the trunks and all the tattoos.
Huge guy, tatted up guy,
Yeah.
and is
Have you met
Drax
him?
from. No, I have not. I wish Batista, if ever you're watching this, please. But it's amazing to see his journey from the WWE, learning about his story, and then eventually he's making Marvel movies now as Drax for
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. So hopefully, hopefully some of that success rubs off on us here in the Philippine wrestling industry.
As far as you guys know, I noticed with wrestlers, parang they have a career after like they have a career in the entertainment side of things. I mean,
Yeah.
you see Dwayne the Rock Johnson or you had mentioned Bautista and all that. So is that something you've thought about?
Well, right now that's something I'm trying to do because with the pandemic happening and then there's no wrestling, I'm just out here creating as much content as I can, wrestling related or not wrestling related. So what I'm currently doing is I'm streaming video games on Twitch, and if you want to follow me, twitch.tv
Yeah,
slash
we'll promote it.
JDL, shameless plug. And my tag team
No,
partner,
you can promote it. No worries. Go lang.
and my tag team partner and I, Ken Warren, we're also creating like weekly, like a news recap about wrestling stuff that happened around the world. So we're
Yeah.
trying to make it funny. So we do it every
Yeah.
week. It's on YouTube. It's
It's on
called the
YouTube.
hashtag PWOGs report. So if you guys can check that out, that would be great also.
Yeah.
But yeah, since the pandemic happened and there's no wrestling happening right now, we're just trying to create as much content as we can, try to stay as
Active, yeah.
yeah, stay as active as we can, basically.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'd like to go back again to your journey, your career journey. What were the biggest realizations you had when you were going through the process? Or okay, you're 7 years in the industry right now, right? So
Yeah.
are there like certain realizations you had about wrestling as a whole that you may have not known when perhaps you were starting, or maybe when you were a sixth grader, just wrestling during recess or for fun?
Well, one thing I didn't really know about wrestling that I was surprised to learn is that it's a very addictive feeling. Like being able to go out there in front of the crowd and then get their cheers or get their boos. There's no other feeling. Well, in my lifetime, I have received no other feeling like that. And it can get you high on whatever that can feed you. But obviously it's like I I was just happy to know that I was able to get into pro wrestling because growing up I never thought it would be something that I would do, and I was
Yeah.
able to do it pretty well. I was able
Yeah.
to make a name for myself around Asia in terms of pro wrestling, and hopefully once everything opens up again that keeps happening.
Yeah. Do you actually get to hold the belt or keep the belt with you?
Yeah, that's a funny story because there are some people who don't want to hold on to the belt, so the belt belongs to the company or the promotion, and there are some people who bring the belt home, and I would there are some people who don't know how to take care of belts, and there are some people who do know how to take care of belts because like those things can get dirty, things can get cracked. But I bring my belt home and I keep it safe. I keep it away from
Yeah.
being oxygenated, being rusted from anything wet, and I just keep it in like a safe sealed plastic so that
Man,
it
I
doesn't
should have
touch
told
it.
you to bring it. Sana you
Oh no,
brought it.
I don't have the belts. I'm not a champion.
I'm kidding. Hey, a belt is still something, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. Going back naman to those that have aspiring wrestling dreams or perhaps want to be like you one day. I know I asked this kanina before break, but in the more concrete side of things, what are the little things they can do to hopefully work on that dream one day, or maybe obviously expose themselves more, right? Just like what
Hmm.
you did and how you managed to like make turn your dreams into reality, and like what you said kanina, join FB groups, even if
Yeah,
it's just marketing. It starts from there, right?
yeah.
But
It's
like right now, let's say in 2021, where we have no idea when things will be okay. I don't mean to be pessimistic here, but what are the little things they can do to um achieve that or like get into the industry?
what I would suggest for these times are hard. It's really hard to like get into wrestling right now because of the pandemic, and virtually there's no training schools happening right now, so you can't even like prepare your body for it or
Yeah.
like. But what
Are
I
there
would tell
actual
these
training schools here?
once the promotions happen, once like there are promotions like PWR, MWF that hold shows, those promotions also have training, so they can also train you if ever you reach out to them and want to become a wrestler for them. So that's one way to go about it. But since the pandemic, there's been nothing like that. So if I were to suggest one thing for people to do, it would be take the first step and prepare for any possibility. Like get your body ready, get your mind ready, study as much wrestling as you can. You can actually also reach out to other like you can reach out to if you know any pro wrestlers here in the Philippines, and then you message them and they hopefully reply back to you to get some tips also. That would be great. So it's just taking that first step, taking that leap of faith that, oh, I want to do this. What can I do in my current situation with the pandemic? What can I do to better myself to be able to be more ready for whenever that time comes? And yeah, that's what I would tell them. Just take the first step.
Thanks for that, Jake. So, who are some of the wrestling personalities young enthusiasts can watch or I guess follow today? How can, like what you said, nga, diba, they can always reach out, or,
Mhm.
or they can find a way to reach out. Sorry, or they can like study different personalities. I mean, besides you, obviously. uh,
Um,
what would you be doing if you were them, or who would you be watching if you were them?
well, from what I know, obviously, well, when I started out, I watched a lot of WWE, and I would try to study their matches, how they would do moves and stuff from there. But obviously, you can't contact them, and you can't like, you can't hope to like get a response from them because they're busy or like they're working hard there. I think what would be best is like if you can find out about, because other countries are other neighboring in other neighboring countries, they're starting to have wrestling again. So if you can check out other promotions like in Singapore,
Okay.
Thailand, Malaysia, they like we have SPW and Grapple Max in Singapore. We have APAC in Malaysia. We have Set Up Thailand Pro Wrestling in Thailand. So if you can check out their content and reach out to people there, not sure how fast they would be able to like help you train or anything. Not unlike if it were in the Philippines and it were easier, but at least it's good to like get yourself out there now. Like it's kind of like think of it as a job. Like you're looking for a job. Think of it as job hunting. You're sending your resume. You're putting your best foot
You're
forward.
getting yourself out
You
there.
want to learn. You want to learn as much as you can, but obviously you don't have any experience in it, so you want to try to learn from as many people as you can. And then, once you get there, treat it as an internship. You're getting the experience that you need for a better job in the future.
Last question, Jake. Sorry, before we head to break.
No
I'd like
worries.
as a pro wrestler, what do you envision or at least wish the future of Philippine wrestling would be like? Like, what are your goals? I mean, obviously, you can't achieve it by yourself, right? But
Yeah.
what sana are your aspirations or hope for the industry you are in now, at least from a Philippine standpoint?
Well, obviously, besides getting like the recognition that this art form deserves, this sport slash entertainment
Yeah.
thing deserves, and hopefully like getting nationwide reach, my biggest hope for it in the future is that it becomes an industry where everyone. I know it's competitive. I know people like try to outwork each other or outcompete against one another, but I hope
I
that
mean, every
it would be
industry naman, diba?
yeah, every industry. I wish it would become a more collaborative industry so that instead of trying to pull each other down, we pick each other up when we fall down and then we take each other to new heights. Because as much as competition can breed like a better wrestlers and stuff, doing like teaching others, helping others also helps develop that. So hopefully we go the more um what's the term?
Collaborative group.
We
Yeah.
yeah, we go the more collaborative route than the competitive route.
Got it. That was well said. Thank you for that, Jake. We'll head to break first. We'll be right back for the last segment.
All right.
We'll be back shortly. This is Sportswatch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To run my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
Now we rocked up funny and come correct. All people on time and rhyme connect.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To run my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
Now we rocked up funny and come correct. All people on time and rhyme connect.
Now back to Sportswatch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Okay, we're back here at Sportswatch with our guest today, Jake Delega.
Hello again.
Hello, Jake. Before we get to the next segment, the rapid fire segment, I'd like to once again shout out those tuned in today. Miss Julia. Sorry, did I get that name right?
It's Jula. It's like Julia, but without the E. The E.
Sorry, Julia, for mispronouncing your name. She sends heart. Very supportive. I love it. Next is Miss Tina. I'm assuming
That is actually my mom. My mom is
Oh,
tuning in.
hello. Tina.
Hi, Mom.
Thank you for tuning in and supporting your son. And Jula says hi, Tita. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, Jake, we'll head to the rapid fire. This is the favorite segment
All right.
of many of my viewers' show. So this is gonna be fun.
Okay.
So it's actually, they say it's the hardest, but it's just
Oh.
like, just tell me the first answer that comes to your mind.
Mm.
Game?
Game.
Okay. Since kanina you mentioned na, oh, sorry, sorry, can I just insert it? Mr. Oel Babasa says, let's go. Ayan.
Yeah. Owl's a friend.
Oh,
Owel is a
well,
friend.
okay. Got it. Okay. Since kanina you had mentioned na you're a chicken in a sal guy,
Yeah.
I'd like to know, I mean, obviously the chicken in a sal is a different kind.
Yeah.
It's lights out the best. I mean, I've been to Bacolod. I love it so much there.
Mhm.
I like to spend the week there food tripping one time, going around. I had the time of my life. But here naman in Manila, what restaurant or place would you say has the best chicken in Asal?
JT's Manukan, no doubt.
JT's?
JT. I'm a JT's guy.
I like Ida's.
Ida's, yeah, I like Ida's also, but sorry, but I'm looking for like a more bang for my buck alternative. So JT's is actually like one of my favorites, go-tos here. And Joel Torre, if you're watching this, I love you.
Why does he own JT's or?
Yeah, Joel Torre owns
Oh
JT's.
yeah, right. Joel, I didn't get that. Okay. Joel Torre. He's the owner.
Yep.
Thank you for bringing us JT. All right. Next, favorite aspect about wrestling.
Performance aspect. Definitely.
Performance side. Actually, I was just gonna ask you, what do you prefer? The entertainment side or the athletic side of wrestling?
I love both sides, but if you had to make me choose one, it's the performance side, because that is what got me hooked in the first place. It's not really like the moves and stuff. Like the moves look cool, but I am in it for the characters, the performance, the promos, the acting, everything.
You had mentioned kanina na you have a couple of moves, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite? I mean, I wouldn't say signature move, because if you say signature move, that's just one move.
Yeah.
What's your favorite move na lang, I guess? Or like a weapon or a move in general.
I really love, like, it's called the super kick. So it's basically just you raising your leg and then kicking your opponent in the face. So that is a move that, because it can come out of nowhere. It's like you can just kick your opponent like that quick, and like it could end the match. So
kick them?
yes, we do, but I won't share the secret on how to do it.
Of
But
course,
like
yeah. But nice. Does that take a lot of training to do?
I would just say that there are some people that are very that can do it like really well, and then there are some people that won't be able to do it as well. So
Got you. Most challenging part about wrestling for you? I'd like. Can I take a guess before
yeah, sure.
the not injuries, but like the pain the next day?
Uh yeah, definitely one of that. Well, I accept the pain and just shout out to my friend Ro who commented, "Hi po, the super kick is real. I chipped a tooth from JDL super kick." So yeah, I am sorry, Romeo. I am very sorry. But yeah, that
Listen,
happened. I
I
think
chipped the tooth. Oh my! I hope it grew back.
honestly, the hardest part about wrestling is everything else but the wrestling. So the creative process, the planning out, the training, those are all like marginally more difficult than actually going out there and wrestling in the ring.
Did it take you time to like form your character, or think about your character as a whole?
Uh, it took me, I think it took me like around a night, and then I was able to form my character around that. So,
A night?
uh, yeah, I think I
Wow,
had my character down
pretty
pat.
fast.
I already knew what kind of character I wanted to be when I started like training, and
Yeah.
then thankfully no one else had that kind of character, so I was able to use it right away. It was just like the moves that I wanted to do. That's where I took a little bit more time thinking about it.
Right. So did you draw an inspiration from someone like like another wrestler?
I drew inspiration from this wrestler called JBL from the WWE,
Yeah, I
John
know
Bradshaw
him. I'm a
Layfield.
fan. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Is he the one
I
that
was like,
goes
okay,
mad or something? Or
yeah, he has the limo. He has the limo that because
yes, yes,
he's
I
a
remember.
stockbroker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you got your inspiration from.
Yes, that he is my main inspiration.
Got it, got it. Favorite wrestler of all time, JBL?
No, it's not JBL. My favorite wrestler of all time is actually a wrestler named AJ Styles. He's wrestling in the WWE right now. So not a lot of people know him because he's not from the old days, but he's
Yeah.
definitely one of the best wrestlers out there right now, in my opinion.
Okay. If not wrestling, then what would you be doing?
Ooh, if not wrestling, then it would probably still be something entertaining. Probably streaming video games or like doing let's play videos on YouTube, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because it's actually funny because it was because of wrestling that I found out that I wanted to be an entertainer, and because
Yeah,
there's no wrestling nowadays, I'm still trying to become an
an
entertainer.
entertainer.
Yeah,
And how do you entertain these days? Diba? Through content creation, through
yeah,
Twitch, lalo
yeah.
na
Through
yung
streaming.
streaming side. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it, got it. Biggest supporter in your life?
Uh, it's between my mom and my girlfriend, so para hindi sila mag-away. Joke lang. uh, but yeah,
We
those
don't mean
two.
to start anything here. I mean, they
My
both
mom and my
commented and we
girlfriend,
appreciate it.
yeah, are my biggest supporters, and then a close second is Ken Warren, my tag team partner.
Got it. How about outside the ring? I mean, outside of the family naman.
Uh, oof. Outside of the family, it would have to be the fans of pro wrestling because honestly, without them, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Got
Definitely.
it. Yeah, nice. The last time you wrestled,
Tagal na. It was February in 2020,
oh,
so it's
matagal na.
well over a year now. Yeah,
Will it be hard to get your conditioning back?
it definitely will be. Like we will definitely be like
Yeah,
going through hell in the first few months of coming back, but it's all for the love.
got it. Favorite experience your career, or at least professional career, has brought you to?
Uh, Doing the WWE tryout in China,
Oh
definitely.
yeah,
It
must be big.
feels
Yeah,
very satisfying knowing that the WWE had me on their radar and invited me to a tryout. So definitely,
what was your reaction like when you got the WWE invite?
I I couldn't speak for like 30 minutes.
Because that was
I
your
was
dream, right?
Yeah, I was speechless to be invited, and then I realized that in the email they kind of made me their point person for the thing, so I had to contact two other wrestlers from the Philippines. Like, oh no, okay, I have to contact these guys, so I can't like, I can't just stay here shocked. So yeah, that was definitely
Where in China was it?
it was in Beijing.
Beijing, right?
Yeah.
Fill in the blanks. Wrestling is
Amazing.
amazing. That's pretty self-explanatory. Three, I know you mentioned this na kanina, but top of your head lang. Three important values you picked up from your career as a wrestler.
Well, hard work, passion, and respect.
Hard work, passion, and respect. Love it. Favorite, and last but not least, favorite place to wrestle.
Ooh, I would say the Philippines, but that's kind of like a
Like a given. Okay,
bro.
outside of the Philippines.
Outside of the Philippines, I hope no other promotion gets mad at me, but I always loved going back to Singapore and wrestling there because it's just a fun place to walk around. The commute is easy, the food is great, obviously, and like the promoters, like whoever's yeah, whoever's taking care of me there, they can just leave me alone, and I can find my way around Singapore, and then I'll be there by the show.
Yeah, but how was your experience like naman in other countries you've wrestled in? Like you had mentioned kanina Malaysia and Thailand and ang dami actually because I was reading your resume. Hong Kong. How was your experience in those countries?
It's always been a fun experience because it's always fun wrestling in a different country because it's a different audience. They don't really know you, so you have to be able to like grab their attention. But my go-to thing to do always, whenever it's a new country, find the good food, eat the good food, and then worry about it later.
Thank you. That's a pretty great way to wrap up our rapid fire. So we'll head to break. We'll be right back to wrap this show up.
We'll be back shortly. This is Sportswatch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Pagpatak ng 7, dapat lahat nakatutok sa amin. Catch these programs at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Talk Shop Asia Global, USA Edition, with Rolly Pagaspas and Rosario Cahucom Bradbury. Home Not Alone, Sounds from Home, with Papa Gio. And Freedom in Christ, with Felson. It's all about entrepreneurship, entertainment, and enlightenment. Back-to-back programs at 7. LA at 7. LA at 7. Exclusively on V81 Radio, Los Angeles. Kabayan, nahuhomesick ka ba? I-download na ang aming mobile app at mag-enjoy sa mga kantang Tatak Pinoy and feel like you're home. The V81 Radio mobile app, available in the App Store and Google Play Store. V81 Radio mobile app, free now, free forever. Now back to Sportswatch, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Okay, we're back here at Sportswatch with our guest today, Jake De Leon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Jake, again, I'd like to thank you for stopping by today. I learned so much about wrestling, especially both the entertainment and athletic side of it. Just, picking your brain about the scene here, the culture here in the Philippines. And yeah, thank you again for stopping by to share your knowledge and your experiences and your career in general.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. So, to end things lang, I'd like to ask you, you have found a passion for something, obviously, that has become so significant in your life. And I like how kanina you described na you were in 6th grade and, once upon a time, you were sneaking out just to watch wrestling from your parents. Sorry if your mom's watching right now. I'm pretty sure she knows by now, hopefully.
Yeah, she does.
I hope I didn't snitch on you. But yeah, can you just please share some encouraging words lang to our audience on how perhaps they can find their calling or interest that they eventually can pursue, even if it's not wrestling, just interest they've had as a kid, just like how you did with wrestling, and how they can perhaps pursue that eventually.
In my case, I got really, really lucky because I was able to find the thing that I wanted to be passionate about. And I know that for some people, it's not that easy. Sometimes people try to look for it their whole entire lives and don't really find it. Sometimes it just lands on their lap. So what I will tell people who are trying to look for it try not to look for it too hard, because sometimes if you're trying to look too hard, you may miss out on things. So just try to enjoy the moment with whatever you're doing right now. If you're having fun with it, keep having fun with it and see where it goes. And if you get tired of it, move on to the next thing. It's Life doesn't always have to be you sticking to one thing. Life
Yeah.
can be you doing a lot of different other things that you enjoy. Your passion might not be one thing either. Your passion might be a lot of different things combined together. So all I'm gonna tell you is, like, have fun and find the thing that makes. I hope that you find the thing that makes you happy.
That was well said. The perfect way to wrap this up. Thank you, Jake, for sharing that. And before I officially let you go, could you please just share some of your social media handle is there, but
Yes.
I guess you're the business side na lang, like your perhaps personal or your Twitch or your
Yes.
content creation out there. Please use this time to share just that.
Well, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, because I do TikTok now. It's at Senorito JDL, as you can see down there. I also make YouTube videos sometimes. Just look for Jake De Leon on YouTube, and also I stream on Twitch. I stream video games, mainly video games. So it's twitch.tv/Senorito JDL. And also I have a weekly wrestling news recap with my tag team
Yeah,
partner
you
Ken
mentioned.
Warren from the
Yeah,
hashtag PWG. So just search hashtag PWOGs
there we
on
go.
YouTube, and you hopefully will find us there.
We'll share that too in our pages. So once
Okay.
again, thank you, Jake. Thank you for
Thank you so
stopping
much.
by, and we'll definitely stay tuned. Hopefully, when the pandemic subsides, wrestling
Yeah.
comes back, and at least now we're more aware on how the industry works, and we'll be able to tune in a little more. So
Hmm.
thank you so much again, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Yeah,
Thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you, Sportswatch and V81 Radio.
thank you. So, Jake's story tells us the importance of hard work and makes us realize that your dreams, after all, can come true. When you're focused and resilient when it comes to doing what you want, then chances are you're going to do just that. He's proof that nobody should stop you from doing what you want, even how obscure your dreams may be. So thanks again for Jake for stopping by and sharing some knowledge about the sport of wrestling and the grind that comes with it. So there we have it for today. Once again, this is your sports girl anchor Nicole Ganglani. Thank you for tuning in today. Catch me every Saturday from 11 to 12:30 for next week's show. I'll be having another wrestler as a guest. So stay tuned for that. And for this weekend, naman, we have a couple of shows coming your way, starting with Making a Difference at 3 p.m. to 4:30, hosted by Erica Mison, followed by New All Pinoy Alternative Music tomorrow from 1 to 2:30, hosted by Charlie Diaz and Farms Mano, followed by Practical Magic. If you're interested in magic, go watch tomorrow at 8 p.m. to 9:30, hosted by Reg Revta. So that will do it for today. I'll catch you all again next time. Peace.
Get your head in the game and join the tribe every Saturday as we hear the stories of athletes, fitness personalities, and enthusiasts from the sports world. Hosted by your resident sports girl anchor Nicole Ganglani, bringing you sports action on Sportswatch every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Philippine time. Until next time, only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Tunog Pinoy, Tatak Pinoy, your all hits, all Pinoy digital radio station in South Manila. This is V81 Radio.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan. Oh, V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Ito ang radio. radio mo, ito ang radio ko. PA1 Radio, PA1 Radio. Dahil mahal namin kayo. PA1 Radio, PA1 Radio. Para sa inyo ito, PA1 Radio.